old installers used to do installations.
Old installers.
So you retired from the roof, isn't that what happened?
Yeah, pretty much.
Occasionally, also. All right, cool. So look, we're going to do today. We're going to do a recap on heating, what we've talked about over the month, and with Nathan talk about some off-grid tips heating. And Nathan's going to tell us a story about his off-grid heating experiment he did. Brought a really energy-efficient heater from Bunnings, didn't you?
Oh yeah, top of the range, $29. Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
Exactly. So, cool. So let's. So I don't know if did you get a chance to watch the live stream last week with Matt in it from Walker Stoves?
No, I haven't had a chance to watch that yet.
So, cool. Look, we'll do a bit of a recap on that. So, what we talked about this month with heating is all different types of ways that you can heat. So, air conditioning. So, off grid using air conditioning. Now, we covered the fact that if you want a heat of a day, it's really easy to do from solar. And, the reality is of trying to heat off grid overnight, it's just going to cost you more in battery. So, the more energy efficient you can make your home and seal that building envelope, you don't require to heat off grid. So, the other way we talked about heating, so last week we had Matt from Walker Stoves on. So, fire is one of probably the best ways off grid. And I like to think with fire is, if you've got firewood on your property, probably going to be the and best way to do it because you don't need to invest in a huge big solar system to be able to do heating, because heating from electricity is going to cost. And if you've got the water on your property, you'll use it. So we covered Nectar's baker ovens with the Nectar's baker oven. So I'm a big fan of when using wood is to use that same heat. So, if you've got a Nectar's baker oven, using that same heat to heat your house, and they've also got an oven in them so you can actually use them to cook. And with what Walker Stoves does, why they're so efficient. So they're like a rocket stove. Have you had much experience with rocket stoves, Nate?
No, I think I know the general premise of it, but I haven't looked too much into it.
Yeah, so they use twigs and sticks, basically, most rocket stoves use. So Matt's gone ahead with his to put more mass inside the rocket stoves. But he does rocket mass heaters, and he's got some really cool stuff. We'll just actually jump down the bottom on his website here. So this is one of my favorite ovens that Matt builds. This one here is probably more my favorite with this one here. So he's built a rocket stove he actually throw logs into. And so it's taking those same rocket stove principles. You're using twigs and sticks to create a lot of heat and a really fast, hot burn. But he builds these with the stove inside so you can actually cook with them. He does these amazing glass doors in them so you actually see the fire and everything that's going on. So on this one here, you actually stoke it from the other side. This one here is his firebox. And so on top here, you can actually cook on top of those, which is pretty cool. So he's actually just got some recycled glass from some old ceramic cooktops or some induction cooktops. So yeah, so there's no electrical needs. This is actually literally the glass top, and he's actually cooking on top of them, which is pretty cool.
So is that the oven right next to it?
What was that?
Is that the oven right next to it?
Yeah, this black box, that's an oven.
Okay.
So you could actually literally with these, and like I said, rocket stoves is about using small bits of timber, creating a lot of heat really fast, and taking advantage of that real high heat to cook things really fast. And what Matt's done with these Walker stoves is you can actually throw a big log in there, and that's the problem, like with my rocket stove I've got at home. You're always going to be keep feeding. You always put twigs and sticks in there. Where what Matt's done with this here is actually throw logs in, and you've also got the brickwork around it to actually store and hold that heat. Where I've got 2 rocket stoves at home, and one's just a J-tube, which is a steel one designed for cooking really fast. The other one's got a bit of cast iron in it, so it does hold the heat a little bit. But it's not like these with these hold the heat. And that's ideally in an off-grid situation. What you want is something's going to hold that heat to release later on. So as the night goes on, it gets cooler and you're asleep, these things are releasing that heat. So yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, nice. Does it have any sort of temperature control, like a vent, or do you just kind of let it die down a bit?
No, so on the doors, he actually does have, you can adjust the temperature and the air of them. But the reality with these rocket stoves is, as soon as you shut the door, they will slow up, basically. If you have the door open, it's just sucking the air through flat out and burns crazy. So, but he does have some controls on them. If there's any pictures of the controls. You feed it on this one here. So it's at the two doors, so you can open one up and do that sort of stuff there. So no, they're really cool. I'd actually ideally would love to build one of these in my place. So we spoke with Matt last week. You haven't seen the interview, go back and check it out. It's a great conversation. Matt's a real permaculture at heart. He's got some really cool stuff. So I actually didn't realise until a conversation with Matt last week. Matt actually works in building inverters and in solar systems for boats and lots of different things. So which is pretty cool. So he's really into the technical side of it all.
Yeah, right.
Cool. So that's what we covered. Now, Nathan, I'll basically bring this up here and get you up a bit higher. Your bit of experience last week with your that you brought, the energy efficient heater.
Oh, yep. Yeah, so I had I installed solar analytics. That was the first step. So from my phone, I could monitor how much I was using throughout the day, and I was basically using nothing. It was really good. And then I decided to get kind of the cheapest, dirtiest electric heater I could get, just to kind of see how much energy it would use. And they bloody crank. Having it on medium setting, it was pulling like 2.3 kilowatt. And India's not as energy. My partner's not as energy conscious as me, so she would leave it on for 10 hours a day, and I would come home and cry because I know that energy bill's coming.
How funny. So 2.3 kilowatts is what they was using. So from a cost point of view, 2.3 times 0.30, so that's about 70 cents an hour it costs to run.
Yep. So I'm coming home and getting a what's that $7 bill?
Yeah, for the 10 hours. Cool. So in an off-grid situation, so now those heaters are known for being energy efficient. Now, do you know why they're known for being energy efficient?
Which heat is that? Sorry.
Those bar heaters.
No.
No. So the reason that they're really energy efficient is because they're actually really good at turning electricity into heat.
Yeah, right.
So there's very little losses in them. So when it comes from electricity, because they're just a resistive element.
Yeah, yeah.
So plus the fan that sort of blows them. So does it actually do the job in heating the house though?
It actually did a pretty good job for a little $29 one. Like I've got a lounge room that's probably 4 by 4 meter, and it did a damn good job of heating that up.
Yeah, cool. So look, in an off-grid situation, so let's do the numbers on that there. So let's have a look at that there. So if it was pulling 2,300 watts, what would you require of a day to be able to run that of a day in an off-grid situation to be able to use that $29 heater to heat your house of a day?
Well, we can account for like eight sun hours. So 8 times 2.3. You'd need basically 18.5 kilowatt of either storage or production during the day to run that.
Yeah. So in the day in winter though, you're not going to have, because you're going to use your heater in the middle of winter, not summer. 2 sun hours. What we design systems off in the middle of winter. So 4 times 0.3. So it's 10 kilowatt hours a day much from your panels, and the rest is going to be from batteries. So you'd be putting up a decent amount of panels. So think about it. You'd say if we use one of the Femers that we normally use and design with, a 3.3, that's pretty much going to run the heater, but you're going to want that excess to put in batteries. And, like we just use my place example. I lose the sun at 3 o'clock, my house there. So I'm on batteries at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So if I through till let's just say, we're adventurous and we stay up to 8 o'clock, the kids want to stay up and don't go to bed. That's 5 hours. So how many kilowatt hours of battery storage am I going to want just to run that?
Let's go 5 times 2.3, 11.5.
11.5. So let's take the Power Plus, their Life Premium battery. That's our favourite battery that we offer here, the off-grid shop. How many Power Plus batteries would you want for that, and what's that going to cost the customer?
Ooh, just for that, they are, what are they, 4 kilowatt hour each? So you could have.
The black ones are 3.3.
Oh, the black one. Yep.
Yeah, they're about $3,500. Let's just call $1,000 a kilowatt hour, just for ease of math.
Yeah. So without losses and all that, 11.5. Yeah, 11.5 grand just for a heater to turn on in the afternoon.
5 hours of an afternoon.
Yeah.
So you can see where that's why when I'm talking to people about making the house and the envelope energy efficient, so you actually don't require heating or cooling, because it can cost you a lot just to heat from, and that $29 bar heater, which seems really cheap in the moment. Spending is going to use less energy. It'll cost more up front, but it'll use a lot less energy, and you're actually spending a lot less money on batteries. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you'd take a bit to use the old bar heater, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, if we had a customer call up and say they had one of those, I would be like, I hope you got a big budget. It's a lot of batteries.
Totally, it is.
Realistically, I reckon an average household, you'd probably use one 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night when there's no sun. So that there's already 4 times 2.3.
And look, I'll bring my house up here and we'll share my house on screen here, and we'll show you how we use our air conditioner. Solar Analytics has had an update. We'll just quickly log in here. Yeah, because that's pretty much for us. And the reason we didn't have the space, you really want to put a fireplace in, and we're going to be talking with the guys from Walker Stove, with Matt, and he's actually got a guy here in Australia that could potentially build us a Walker Stove for us. And we're going to see if we can do a workshop and actually put one in our place, because we really require that function of where are we here? Am I logged in? Let's share a tab. Ooh. Hope this is the right screen. Here we go. This is my place. So as you can see, the air conditioner's been cranking today. It's been on. I turned on first thing this morning because it was actually really cold here today. So you see my aircon there pulls 3.3 kilowatts firing up this morning. At 5 a.m. I turned that on. And then it sort of drops down to 2, down to 1. What time is that? So 7 o'clock, and you see we're sort of, this system here would be actually using from batteries until 8:30. The sun pretty much starts covering our load. So it's actually huge there. So get rid of everything else. With the look, flicked on last night. See, of an afternoon, it's only actually using 1.5 kilowatts because it's actually not so cold. But this morning it was freezing, so it was using a lot more energy. And that's another thing to take in consideration. It's how you use when the temperature does change. So it jumped up there to 2.5 kilowatts. I'll zoom that in a bit. We'll flick back a few days and actually have a look at this aircon so we can find. So there's another morning. It was turned on in the morning. Get rid of this consumption, but not in the afternoon. Sunday it wasn't used. Here we go. So it was used in the morning. So so you actually see this morning, because it was so much colder, how much more energy it was using. Wow, it's pulling 3.3 kilowatts. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty huge. So
I've actually never seen it pull that amount of energy. I thought about 2,500 was the most it ever pulls.
I guess that's one of the good things about summer is you can just run your aircon straight off the solar when it's hot during the day.
Totally. Yeah, that's the thing with an air conditioner in summer. just I suppose when you think about a conditioner, an air conditioner, I actually wasn't sharing my screen there, so let's actually go back and do that. Could have told me Nathan wasn't sharing my screen.
I thought it was not coming to me for some reason.
No, I hadn't pressed the button and gone through, so all good. I'll go back and flick through that. So yeah, here we go. Let's just go back and quickly show you. So you see this morning, when I turned the aircon on at 5 o'clock, the peak had actually got 3.3 kilowatts it cranked up at. So you can see that now, Nath?
Yep, I can see that.
Cool. And so it dropped down to 1.93, and as the day got on, it got hotter and hotter. But you see, I'll turn everything on here, the hot water and everything. And so solar at my place didn't really start doing its thing until about 8:30 in the morning, covering that. I was just flicking back through a few days, and just see at our place overnight. We pretty much only flick the aircon on from. Just get rid of all this. So we can sort of see what's going on here. You see that rain yesterday? Terrible solar. It's actually good. Look, my solar system's on 6 kilowatts. I'm pretty excited. So we're out of the depths of winter and my solar system starts working. Here we go. So 4 o'clock, the aircon went on and it went off at 6:30. So for 2 hours. So and we've got a 45 square meter room and it's a 7.1 kilowatt cooling capacity aircon, which is there. So cool.
That's a pretty big difference, eh? 3.3 to usually does 2 or 1 point something.
Yeah, no. And actually probably left on yesterday and forgotten about. Or this day here. It was sort of dropping down to 600 watts of an afternoon because the house would have been hot and wouldn't really require to work and do anything, So it's just trickling along, do its thing. So, this monitoring is so important. And I said, one of the best things to do when anything heating or cooling is have that building envelope sealed. So you've got no drafts and no leaks and things like that. And there's another thing that we really discussed was on the channel was to make sure you do your building envelope, check all your seals and stuff around your doors and all that sort of stuff to make sure you're not just trying to heat the outside environment. That's why if you're lucky enough to build your house from hemp, straw bale, SIPS panels, those solar save in the long run because you actually don't require a heater. So most architects I talk to, when we're doing designs and stuff like that, I tell them if they do require a heat or cool, that I give them a 10-day grace period. They've got 10 days in the middle of winter and 10 days in summer that the house can be cooled by mechanical cooling, by the air conditioning or a fire or whatever. If they need any more cooling than that, their house is not really well designed. So, because if you can nail that heating and cooling, and you don't require any sort of heating or cooling, you can see how much difference it saves you in your solar system or running energy from the grid. So it's really important.
Yeah, definitely. So you wouldn't recommend heated tiles throughout your whole house?
Mate, I don't know. Those last couple of jobs we've done with off-grid with heated tiles, it's actually been really interesting to have a look at Kaz and Craig's place and to see the energy consumption they've used. Their heated tiles are really energy efficient.
Okay.
I was actually really impressed with the numbers on the heated tiles, and it'd be really interesting to look at. We can actually have a look at that on their data and see how much energy they're using and how often the generator fired up using those heated tiles first thing in the morning.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how much they use because I've always wondered that. I thought they would use a bucket load. So
it'd be interesting because that house also is a really well designed house, architecturally built. So lots of glass, lots of concrete, and they went with the gas fire, which is interesting. They just sort of press a button, but they wanted that fire feeling. That's why they didn't go with electricity. They wanted that natural gas feeding. So they got a pretty cool fireplace there. So it's interesting to see how their heated floors goes and actually how the gas fireplace with compared to the heated floors over winter. So cool, awesome. So any more tips when designing your off-grid solar system about heating?
Don't buy a $29 Bunnings heater.
Yes, well, and I always tell people the best money, if you don't get a chance to design your house, that's the first thing. Get the house design done. Doesn't require heating or cooling. You've nailed it. Now, the next thing is to spend money on the most energy efficient appliances you can buy. Because, yeah, you can see how much a $29 Bunnings heating, how much a $29 Bunnings heating is going to cost. Times
Yeah,
months. It's going to cost you $630 to heat for winter from that $29 heater. So, and I guarantee my air conditioner does a better job and we use a lot less energy.
I can
So,
guarantee that too.
well, you see my aircon. My aircon dropped down to 600 watts when it was left on for the day. Where your heater just keeps pulling 2,300 all day, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't know when to calm down.
No. So, yeah, investing in those really energy efficient appliances is the way to go. So, cool. All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate your feedback, Nathan, helping everyone out. And
No
any
worries.
questions, guys, put in the comments below and we'll get back to you.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.